Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Sarah Smith, and you're listening to Raw Intentions. Guys, it has been so long since we've had a little catch-up solo moment. I was looking back at our podcast and I didn't realize how long it's been. It's been since beginning of January, right? When I dropped my boyfriend off at the airport, after all of the van life excitement. So we have a lot to catch up on, a lot to cover today. I'm recording from home if you're watching on YouTube. I am so comfy cozy. I dyed my hair last night. I spray tanned last night. I'm feeling seriously like $1,000,000. I've got, as you can see, 20 beverages over here. I've got water, coconut water, and my roommate just picked up coffee and surprised us. So I've got a spicy, sweet, dirty chai latte that we get from this woman in town, Danielle. It's our favorite little coffee shop in Breck. But yeah, we've had so many fun, exciting new guests on. I started recording in a new studio since we caught up last, and I have friends coming in town today. It's Thursday, March 27th, so I think this will come out next week. And I didn't have time to go to the studio in Denver to record, to catch up with you guys. So I just decided I was going to do one here, and it's honestly so nice. It's so comfy. It's beautiful outside, but let's get into it. Just in case this is your first time listening to the podcast, I'll give you my little elevator pitch. But like I said in the intro, my name is Sarah Smith, Sarah with an H, Smith with a Y. I'm from Madison, Alabama, 30 years old, and currently living in Breckenridge, Colorado, which is where I'm recording from. I went to college at Auburn University, graduated in 2017, was studying rehab disability studies in Spanish, was going to do occupational therapy and go to grad school, live abroad for a few years and bartend, gain my fluency. None of that happened. Of course, nothing ever goes to plan. And my senior year of college, I was insanely broke. I was waitressing at Texas Roadhouse, just wasn't paying my non-existent bills. So I started making handmade jewelry for myself, for my friends. And what started as just a little side hustle out of my college apartment at the time, 9 years later, is still my full-time job to this day. So it's called Raw and Rebellious. It's at raw_rebellious on Instagram. Definitely give us a follow if you don't already. We started as handmade jewelry, necklaces, layered pieces, all the things through Instagram back in 2017. And now we're so much more than that. We're a lifestyle brand. We do hats, we do sweatshirts, we do tanks, shoes, prints, custom apparel. We have hosted trips that we now do. I do influencing. I have a YouTube channel, this podcast. I mean, there are so many branches to Raw and Rebellious, and it's become so much more than just a jewelry company. We don't even sell jewelry anymore, which is so crazy. And over the years, as it's grown in such a organic, sustainable way. And we've just kind of collected people in our community as we've continued on. And I love our community so much. I chat with y'all via DMs every single day. I feel like we're all best friends. I meet you guys at the pop-ups and the events that we do. And that's what really led me to start this podcast. I wanted to have something that I felt like was just ours, that we could chat and communicate through, a lifeline to you guys, so to speak, where I can, it's like a fin stuff for me. I talk like I'm talking to my best friends on the phone, especially when I do solo episodes, because it's literally just me talking to myself and our imaginary audience. But it's been a really cool way to learn a lot from other people. I have guests on all the time. I do solo episodes, talk about everything under the sun, things I'm going through and things other people are going through in life. So I try to keep it relatable, light, fun, and very, very raw and honest. And that's where the name Raw Intentions came from. It's at Raw Intentions Podcast on Instagram. I always want to show up for you guys, and I always want to be really intentional with everything I talk about, the people that I have on, and how I take up space on podcasts, on Instagram, on the internet in general, with everything that I do. So welcome to the podcast, or welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited you're here, and it's going to be a great episode. So yeah, first we're going to do a little catch up because I haven't chatted with y'all since January. I've been doing so many guest episodes, and as y'all know, I batch record. So I'll go to Denver, to the studio, Denver Photo Collective, that I now work with, which is an amazing studio. You need a podcasting space, photo shoot space, whatever. They have literally everything. It's so sick. But yeah, a lot's happened. And so let's just take it from the top. And it's funny, I was writing a little outline for this episode, and the amount that's been going on since I recorded last, since New Year's, is insane. I mean, I have whiplash just trying to keep up myself. So since I left you guys, I hosted my first retreat. And if you follow me on Instagram, I talk about it every single fucking day. I'm hosting a bunch of retreats in Bali and Greece this year, 2 in Bali in May, and then 1 in October in Greece. And before that, I got an opportunity with a local Airbnb here in Breck to host a retreat in Breckenridge. So it was a girls' ski weekend. There were 11 girls total. And it was my first time ever doing anything like this. So I had no idea what to expect. It was the most aligned thing I've ever done. It was so much fun. The girls were so fucking cool. And I didn't really have any expectations going into it. It was also such a whirlwind leading up to it that I didn't even have time to really think about what was going on. And one of my expectations was more so to be a connector. I love being a connector, and I love being the reason that people meet other people. I wasn't necessarily expecting to make lifelong friends myself. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just didn't really know who was coming and what to expect. It was, 11 strangers. No one knew anyone. Not only did everyone get along so well and it was so sick, but like, I can't wait to hang out with all of these girls outside of this trip. Like, it just felt like a bunch of friends. And the cool thing too was so many people had this commonality there of, I never do stuff like this. I'm maybe a little more introverted. I'm looking for more community in Denver, in Colorado, in life, people that are down to travel, people that are down to do things. And that's why I'm here. I'm here just showing up as myself, trying to make friends and meet new people. And that is the coolest thing ever to me. The fact that we were able to bring all these girls together, that they were able to bond and make friendships. Like, by the end of it, I was like, how did we not know each other before this trip? So that experience made me really excited for all that's to come, for the retreats that I'm going to be hosting. And I'll talk more about those, as well as new opportunities coming for retreats, because I've had a few companies and agencies reach out to me since then. So it does feel very much like the universe is really bringing these things to me. And I would love for this to be like a major part of my job and my income, is like hosting travel and retreats. I mean, I love traveling. I love community, and I get to just like play camp counselor. Like, I'm sold. That sounds like a dream to me. So more of that, please. But yeah, the weekend was amazing. We stayed in the sickest Airbnb ever, Bootsy Base Camp, shout out. And it's through effortlessstay.com. You can book using code RAW20 and get 20% off any of the properties that they have in Colorado and California. So definitely check them out. And if you watch our YouTube vlogs, I vlogged the whole weekend. I posted about it a ton on Instagram. It was just like so sick. And we skied a ton. We ended up getting crazy, crazy powder that weekend. So we had really fun ski days, going out, a concert, nights in where we made a cute little cheese board. And it was just like so dreamy, so incredible. So shout out to all the girls that came. We also were able to do amazing PR for them. So shout out to all the companies that donated products for that. That was really cool. I wanted everyone to feel really special. And I think I gave them more PR than I've ever gotten in my entire life as an influencer, which is pretty funny. So yeah, 10 out of 10. The one downside of that weekend, my roommate Maddie tore her ACL while we were skiing. So we were up on Imperial, which is kind of like the high alpine in Breck. And there was so much snow that since it was a newer run that was open, there was still a ton of rocks there. And I think maybe she was like leaning too far back, or she hit a rock. We don't really know. And she fell. And it was like the most, like, we had no idea that she got hurt, or I had no idea. I was like taking a video of her and thought everything was fine. And then she got up and was panicked and thought her knee popped. She skied down just like on the opposite side. And eventually she got an MRI and we found out that she tore her ACL, which was such a bummer. I tore my ACL like 4 years ago, and it was like one of the hardest experiences I've ever been through. And so she had to go home to Atlanta to get surgery. She's actually coming back next week, which is really exciting. But it's just like the most gnarly thing. And I wanted to talk about it because in the last like 3 months, I mean, we live in Colorado. Unfortunately, ACLs and ski injuries are super common. I've gotten so many like Sunday scaries and so many DMs about ACL because I've talked about mine a lot. And people are like, oh my God, I just tore my ACL. Like, I don't know what to do. Do you have any advice? And I think the biggest piece of advice I have, if you're listening and have an ACL injury or just like a big injury in general, I think those injuries typically, unfortunately, happen to people that are super active. They're always doing things, always traveling, and always on the go, because that usually happens in movement. So we are used to using our bodies to allow us to do things versus like our bodies holding us back, which is really hard. So I would say the first thing is to be really, really kind to yourself. And that sounds so cliche, but what I mean by that is I remember when I tore mine, I was very depressed, very, very depressed. It was a shell of myself. I felt like I was almost like watching myself exist. It was probably the lowest I've ever been in my life. And I was embarrassed to admit that. I was like, I'm not dying. I'm not losing my leg. You know, there's so many worse things happening in the world. This is during COVID. So people are literally dying left and right. And I'm depressed because I can't ski and because I'm out for like, 9-10 months or going to be going through recovery for like 9 or 10 months. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And so I wasn't able to grieve and like allow myself to grieve. I was grieving and fighting myself. So I was depressed that I was depressed. I was mad at myself for being depressed. And I just wasn't giving myself the kindness that I would give a friend going through something like that. So I'd say the first thing is you are so valid in whatever you're feeling in that situation, and to really allow yourself to feel that and to feel everything and not feel guilt for feeling that, because it is a really, really gnarly injury. And anything that you hurt, anything that stops you from doing something that you love is really hard. So the mental aspect can sometimes even be more challenging than the physical. I will say I had no idea what to expect with the surgery. So if we're talking ACL specific, my parents ended up flying out, getting an Airbnb and like nursing me back to health for a month. And I turned their help away at first. I was like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to stay in my house with my roommates and their 2 dogs and all the stairs. It's not going to matter. I'm good. Definitely the most pain I've ever been in my whole life. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just, that's just the reality of the situation. It's a pretty really shitty surgery. I got a quad graft because I had a full ACL tear, so I had to get a reconstruction. And the recovery is really hard. You lose like the ability to move your leg. If you do a quad graft, you can't lift your leg, move it around. So that's really debilitating. So I was pretty depressed leading up to the surgery. And then for like the 10 days after surgery, I was still really depressed. And I couldn't really snap out of it. And then I remember one day I just decided, okay, today's the day that I'm going to feel better. And I did. I woke up the next day and finally felt like I was in my own body again and felt like myself. So yeah, I would just say lean on people, tell people that you need help, tell people that you might need a little extra love. I mean, the FOMO that I experienced and the loneliness and the aloneness that I experienced felt so forced and I hated it. And I'm so social. So I'm so used to being a part of everything. And I learned so much about myself. And that is the second biggest piece of advice that I would give is you're in the situation. And I hate when people say everything happens for a reason when you're going through something really shitty. But now looking back on it, I can see the reason for it. I would not have my business if I hadn't torn my ACL because I was not working. I was just like partying and skiing and doing all the things. I would not be the type of person that I am today. I would not be as confident as I am, as self-assured, as self-aware, as well-read, as connected to people. It gave me a whole new perspective on life. And I'm not just saying that. It really did change me to my core. So if you're already in the shitty situation, you're going through it, be sad, grovel, cry, feel bad for yourself. You are the victim here. That's totally fine. At some point though, you're stuck in the situation where you are so alone and that you're feeling this loneliness. Lean into it. Like really figure out who you are when no one's around, because when you can't walk and you can't move and you can't be seen at things and be a part of things, at least for me, I realized how much of my self-worth was put in how other people perceive me. So then I was forced, okay, when no one's around, what am I worth? Who am I and why am I good? Why am I a good friend? Why am I a good person? And when I'm not thinking about how other people are thinking of me and judging me, who am I? So that was a really big lesson for me and something that I would really recommend exploring. Or if you feel like you're in a very lonely time period in general, because loneliness can be really debilitating. But I do want to touch on that because I seriously get ACL DMs all the time. And I did an entire episode on ACLs. I think it's called Be Bad at Your Hobbies. It was one of the first episodes that I did in that first year with my friend Genevieve. So look that one up because we talk all about ACL because we both had injuries and they were so freaking horrible. And we just like really dive into it in that episode. I'm not going to make this an ACL episode. But what else happened? Let's see. Okay. So then the weekend after this girls' weekend on Wednesday, we really just have quick turnarounds here. I left for Whitefish, Montana with my boyfriend's family. And it was so much fun. We're long distance, which I've talked about. And I think something that's really important to us is family. Like I'm really close to my family. He's really close to his family. And one thing that's really tough about being long distance is sometimes it takes your people a little longer to get to know your long distance boyfriend, girlfriend, because you're like traveling to see each other. You live in different places. And so that's really been a priority for us, is going out of each other's ways to make sure that we're getting to know each other's families and friends and bonding with the people that are important in each other's lives, because him and I feel so close that we want to make sure that like other people not understand us, because it's not that. It's more so like I want everyone that I love in my life to get to know this guy that I love in my life that's so incredible, and especially my family, and how important he is to me and how important they are to me. And so same with him. So it was really cool getting to spend a long weekend with his family and just like coexist. We've all met and I'm obsessed with his family. They're so incredible. He has two brothers with wives and kids and then his parents, and they're all very close and like kind of similar to my family as far as the dynamic. And it was so nice just to like chill. Like typically we're going to a dinner or something, or I'm visiting and like we all get together at someone's house, but just to like have lots of interrupted time together where we're just like sitting in silence or reading or hanging out after skiing or walking to coffee together, whatever it is. It was just nice to just be in more normal circumstances. So it was really fun. Love them so much. Obsessed. And 20 out of 10 trip. Whitefish, Montana is also so cool. The snow was okay, but the views were insane. It's like Dr. Seuss clumpy trees. It was so beautiful, so unlike anything I've ever seen. And it was just fun getting out of Colorado and getting to ski somewhere else, because I've been skiing Breck so much, which is such a first world problem. But yeah, it was great. I did get very, 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 very sick. I've been sick so many times this season. I should probably get the flu shot next year because I didn't get it this year. But I was trying to hide it because I didn't want to just be like a mopey sick girl. And I remember one day I was like so sick, I was like on autopilot. I could barely even function, but I feel like I hit it pretty well. At least I hope I did, because I wanted to make a good impression, obviously. But I think I did. And my number one goal of the whole trip, he has a nephew that's like 3 years old, and I met him a few times. I did Thanksgiving with his family, and I was still like such a secondary character to him. Like he didn't know my name. I didn't come around a ton, but we like were bonding. We were playing Play-Doh together. He would like come to me sometimes, but still like didn't know my name and like didn't really care. And my goal with this trip was for him to like know my name and to love me, because I'm so obsessed with him. He's like the cutest kid ever. And we did just that. He would ask for me in the mornings. He would run into our bedroom every single morning and wake up me and Patrick and like want to play and do all the things and like sit next to me at dinner. And I felt like my heart was whole and everything was complete. He was the only person whose validation I really, really needed on the trip. And I feel like I got it. So mission accomplished. And then right after that, so I got home on Sunday night. Then Tuesday morning, Kat and I, one of my roommates, drove to Steamboat for 2 days. One of our friends, Claire, was in town, and Kat works a job in town here in Breck. And so her weekends are Tuesday, Wednesday, because she works on weekends. And so she had the 2 days off. Claire's like one of our good friends from Denver that moved to Atlanta, and I never get to see her. And it was one of my fuck it, we ball, let's go kind of thing. And looking back, maybe this was a trip that I could have skipped just to give myself like 2 days rest. But then also when I look back on things, I'm like, this is my issue. I'm always thinking, well, I remember the time that I just stayed at home and caught up on sleep and caught up on work, or I remember the time that I say yes to things and have a great time. So I really don't regret it at all now that I go through that in my head. And there's a lot more instances in the last few months that I could have said no to things and I didn't. But we went to Steamboat for 2 days. We skied, we hung out with Claire and her family, then came back to Breck, and then I left immediately after that for Aspen. So then I went to Aspen for the weekend for 2 pop-ups and had the most amazing times. The pop-ups crushed it, which the last pop-up I did in Aspen was absolute bullshit baloney. It was so bad. So I'm so glad that I redeemed myself there. Got to catch up with my friends in Carbondale that I stayed with. I actually snuck into a concert at Snow Lodge, which is in the back of, I think, the St. Regis in Aspen, the Ritz. I think it's the St. Regis. So that was really fun. And then came back to Breck. We had a little Sunday fun day because I did get back late Saturday, so I didn't do anything that night. And we've just been like skiing our little hearts out. Then the next weekend on Thursday, I drove with Soph and my roommate Price to Utah. Price's sister lives in Salt Lake City. And so we had a fun little ski weekend. It was Soph's birthday and we've been planning this for a while. So we road tripped out to Salt Lake. I skied Deer Valley, Brighton, and Alta or Snowbird. I can't remember which side of the mountain we did. It was like dumping snow, so we didn't end up doing both sides. We only did one, but it is very cool that you can like ski both of them on the same day. I think technically we did actually, but like I didn't actually ski. I think Alta was the one that I didn't really ski, but Snowbird I did. But we had the best weekend. I'd never been to Salt Lake, had never skied in Utah. Oh, and we went out in Park City one night. So again, nonstop. It's so much fun. We went night skiing one night, got some really good snow, met a bunch of Price's sister's friends, and it's just really fun getting to know anyone's family, as you're an adult and as you're making friends, like getting to know their family is so special. So that was really cool getting to spend time with Price's sister, Tress. And there was a part of me, when we went to Salt Lake that was looking at Salt Lake as a place to potentially live. Patrick and I are still trying to figure out where we're going to live because we're long distance right now. And the mountains are very important to me. City is more important to him and for his job and because he wants to be in a bigger city. So I was thinking maybe Salt Lake because the access to the mountains there is just so sick. And maybe I just didn't spend enough time there. But just from what I've heard from people, I think Salt Lake is out. The proximity to the mountains is so insane and the mountains are amazing. And I wish that was how Denver was. We have such a good community here. And also in Salt Lake with like all the Mormons and stuff, the laws are just really weird. And I'm not even a big drinker anymore, but I still don't really want to deal with that. But yeah, I've heard like not great things about living in Salt Lake. So I think that one is off the list, but I was trying to give it a chance. Then the next 2 weekends I was in Breck and had friends visiting back to back. So my friend Hallie came to visit the week that we got back from Utah. I did a pop-up in Keystone and then Price and I went to Vail for the night for a concert and just to go out and ended up staying out till like 4 a.m. I was so deathly ill the next day. Like I cannot do those hours anymore. And then the next weekend, I did it again because Murph and Tom, my best friends, this couple that I used to live with in Winter Park, that I've also done a podcast with way back when. I can't remember what it's called, but you should definitely go back and listen to it. It was a really, really good episode. They came to visit. They live in 30A now in Florida. So we don't get to see each other too often, but they love skiing and they haven't skied since we lived together a few years ago in a ski share in Winter Park. So they came from a Wednesday to a Sunday and it was Valentine's Day weekend. So we did a really big Valentine's Day dinner at our house, which is really cool. And then we went to John Summit in Vail. That weekend, we got a shit ton of snow. So we skied a ton. Again, stayed up until 4 a.m. Probably should have done that. And then it was a long weekend. So we skied like every day from Wednesday to Monday and we got dumped on. So the snow's been really good, like really, really good this season. It's been way better than last season. And I feel like we've gotten way more powder days, which has been really fun. Hot take, John Summit sucked. I also know though that I went to the after party, not the like main show because it was so expensive to go to the main show. So maybe that's why he wasn't good. But he literally just like stood up there with another DJ and like barely DJ'd and then like ran off the stage early at like 1:30 when I think he was supposed to play until 2, something like that. And honestly, we were thankful it was over because the other DJ that was playing was not very good and the vibes were just so weird, but we took so many mushrooms that we were fine. But yeah, Not a fan of John Summit. Maybe he will redeem himself to me if I ever see him again, but I did not think it was good at all. Then the next week is when I went back to Denver to record a billion podcasts. So this is at the new studio. I did lots of amazing guests, lots of new podcasts, which you've been listening to for the last few weeks. If you haven't, definitely catch up because we had some really, really cool people in the studio. And then I recorded some new content in the studio. I've been working with brands like Newly, Half Days. And then I also got a gifted stay at the Moxie, which is a hotel in Cherry Creek. So freaking cute. And now anytime I go to Denver, they let me stay there, which is like such a dream because when I go to Denver to record podcasts, if I'm staying with a friend, I am fucking gassed. After a day of like talking for 8 to 10 hours and doing interviews, all I want to do is crawl into bed and pass out. So it's so nice coming to like a cozy, cute little hotel that's in the perfect location right in the middle of Cherry Creek and just getting to be by myself and stare at a wall and eat my kava and talk to no one. So I was staying there, and then Patrick, long distance boyfriend, came to visit that weekend. So we're on like a once a month schedule of seeing each other, which has been pretty good. And I've been so busy and he's been so busy that the time has really been flying. So he came for the weekend and we decided not to go skiing. We were going to go to Steamboat with a bunch of my friends, but it would have been like a 4-hour drive both ways. And he had such a short amount of time because he's been taking off so much work to come see me that we were like, let's just have a little staycation in Denver. We stayed at the Moxie and the weather was so nice. It was like sunny, beautiful, amazing. We went and skied Winter Park on Friday and they got like over a foot of snow. It was one of the best powder days I'd had yet this season. And Winter Park is just such a fun mountain. I've missed skiing there so much because I've really skied there since I lived there a few years ago. And it's definitely like one of my top favorite mountains. So that was really cool. And it was just nice being somewhere on a Saturday where people were just like existing without skiing. And don't get me wrong, skiing is my entire personality, but sometimes I need to be taken out of this environment of our little snow globe to realize like, oh, there are other things that you can do on a weekend other than skiing in the winter. And like I said, it was like sunny and like 50 or 60 degrees. I'm talking like the most amazing weather. So we sat outside, got some drinks, got lunch, went on tons of walks. So yeah, it was just such a refreshing weekend. I got to see some of my Denver friends. I was also doing a pop-up there at a bar called Wonder Yard, and I wasn't working it, but I went by and like hung out with the girls that were working it and met a bunch of people. So that was really cool. And yeah, it was a really nice little Denver staycation. So then went back to Breck again. And then the next weekend, I went to Steamboat for Winter Wondergrass, which is this really cool bluegrass festival. I almost didn't go because I was like, holy fuck, I am so exhausted. I've been going. However, coming back to my motto of, well, I remember the times that I caught up on sleep or remember the times that I did something fun. And I ended up getting free tickets to Winter Wondergrass. And I got an opportunity to do pop-ups at the base of Steamboat for Winter Wondergrass. So like all of these things were conspiring for me. I couldn't say no. So Winter Wondergrass. It was so much fun. The weather was so stunning. It was like 30, 40 degrees and nothing but sun. So the skiing wasn't good, but the vibes were high. The pop-up fucking crushed. It was incredible. I also ran into my ex for the very first time since we've broken up in like 2 years. I don't know how we haven't run into each other. I think lives in Steamboat just for the wintertime. I honestly don't know. We do not speak, but randomly ran into him when I was setting it for the pop-up, which is hilarious. And it was just like the most underwhelming thing ever. And I was like, I can't believe I was in therapy for this long over this relationship, but I'm happy. Hopefully he's happy, no hard feelings, ? But that was pretty funny. And also just glad I ripped that Band-Aid off because anytime I'm in Steamboat or in Denver, I'm like, oh fuck, like, am I going to run into him? Because we have so many mutual friends and we're still friends with a lot of the same people, but it was very anticlimactic and it was totally fine. No drama at all. The concerts were amazing. The artists were amazing. I got to see so many of my friends. Getting free tickets was super sick. So I got to just like go in and out of the show, and they were late night shows, so every night I went to the after party shows for some godforsaken reason, going to bed at a ripe 3 a.m. 2 nights in a row. Again, don't know why I do this to myself. I am not strong-willed like I used to be back in my prime in college and post-college. But yeah, very, very exciting weekend. Then here's where things get crazy. So I get back Sunday. I hope you guys are keeping up with this. And the week prior, my roommate Price texted me. I was in Denver and was like, hey, by the way, my friend can't come to Whistler anymore on our family trip last minute. Like, would you want to come? And I was like, I would love to come, but wait, isn't Whistler in Canada? Don't I need a passport? I've never been to Canada. She was like, yes, obviously, you idiot. And I had just sent my passport in a few weeks prior to get renewed because it was expiring and I'm going to Bali in May. So I was like, motherfucker, well, I actually don't have a passport right now, but I would really like to go on this trip. And so the day before I left for Winter Wondergrass, this is another reason why I was almost going to not go to Steamboat. I drove to Denver to the passport office, got my passport same day, like in my hands, drove back, went to Steamboat, got back Sunday night, booked my flight, I think the Wednesday before I went to the passport office because you have to have proof of travel in order to get your passport. So I booked the flight. And Monday morning at 7 a.m., my shuttle picked me up to go to the airport to go to Canada for an entire week with my roommate and her entire family. So yeah, that was that. And so happy I went yet again. It was so much fun. It was her parents and her sister Georgie, who I've met that lives in Denver. And we just had such a time. First of all, Whistler is so vast. It's massive. It's stunning. The snow is pretty shitty the whole time, but it was, again, fun getting out and going somewhere new. And I've never been to Canada, so that was sick. Seeing the town and the opera scene there, it reminds me of European opera, which I've never experienced myself, but I've always seen like on Instagram and stuff, was absolutely nuts. And that hangover after we went to Longhorns and danced on the tables and took, our bill said like 30 something tequila shots. Like we were animalistic at that point. That hangover lasted me days. Like I had like anxiety after that. And I never get that. Like that's how drunk we were. And I don't really get that drunk anymore, but it was so worth it. It was so much fun. Her family is the best and reminded me a lot of my family. And it was just so fun getting to know her parents because I've heard so many stories through her. So yeah, I went to Canada for a week, randomly, very last minute, but very on brand for me. And it was a 12 out of 10 trip. Then I get back to Denver at like 10 p.m. We get back to Breck at 2 a.m. and the time changes. So then I watch the clock go to 3 a.m. I go to bed, wake up at like 10 or 11 a.m. the next day, so exhausted. And I'm hosting my very first uphill event, which is like a touring event, like meetup situation, sponsored by RMU, which is a bar in town. And my friend Kimmy led it with me. So I was like, oh my fucking God, I gotta buckle in. I mean, I was so tired. I was like unpacking, scrambling, showering, like just trying to get ready for this event. The event was incredible. We did it on Baldy, so it was backcountry, and I went higher on the mountain than I've ever been. It was a beautiful day. Everyone was great. It was an incredible experience, and I'm excited to do more of those. But goddamn, the things I do to myself. I mean, this is just exhausting me even talking about it. I cannot believe this has been my life. 2 days later, my parents come in town for 2.5 weeks. So they arrive in Keystone. Luckily, they're the chillest guests ever. They're not the type where they're like looking at me 24/7, like, what do we do now? What do we do now? They're very independent. They love to travel and they just like hate being a bother. They want me to like not be stressed and they know how much I have going on, but I'm obsessed with my parents and I love hanging out with them. So it ended up being really nice and really restful. They got into town. Like I said, stayed in Keystone. So I skied with them that whole weekend, finally caught up on sleep and took a break from alcohol, which is very much needed. Did a little detox. And then we left for Crested Butte. On Monday, we left early because there was a huge snowstorm. And I'm so glad we did because the storm actually ended up being pretty gnarly. And then I was already in Crested Butte. So we got to ski on this like major powder day there, which is really fun. And I got to explore the mountain a little bit. Crested Butte is intense. It's like either blues or double blacks and there's really no in between, but it's cool to see how much I've progressed in my skiing since skiing there the last time. I was able to like do a bunch of stuff on my own, try new terrain. I tried chutes for the first time, which I've never done before, which are essentially these like double block, very narrow, steep runs. And I was so terrified, but my roommate's boyfriend, Greg, who lives outside of Crested Butte, like took me on it. And so it made me feel a lot better. So yeah, I got a lot of good skiing done in Crested Butte, which was great. And then Patrick came back and spent a weekend with my family, and my brother couldn't come, unfortunately, but it was really fun. And we just like chilled, bonded, puzzled, went out to dinner. We operated at the base every single day. We took my parents around the mountain. They're really nervous skiers. My mom has grown up skiing. She's from New York City, went to Syracuse, and was on a little ski team. She actually has like really good form. She just gets really scared. My dad didn't learn to ski, however, until he married my mom. He says he's from Northern Ireland, and he says he skis like a potato farmer that didn't ski until a couple years ago, but he's gotten so much better, and it's just so cool to see them progress. And we ended up taking them on blues, which if you don't ski, green is the lowest level, like the easiest, and then blue is intermediate, black is hard, double black is like the hardest, the most extreme. And so we took them on all blues and they were crushing it and felt so good about themselves and were so excited. And Patrick and I felt like camp counselors, like we were just like leading them around, and they had such a great time. The weather was great. Then we got another powder day on Saturday, and so we got to ski that a little bit. I still have bruises on my legs from falling on a few rocks there. So my legs are still very sore. And then went to Sleds and Kegs, which is another reason that we decided to go to Crested Butte. So Sleds and Kegs is this fundraiser, huge rager party with kegs, obviously lots of alcohol, and this like sledding track. So people are like sledding or skiing and doing like jumps and stuff. And it's on someone's land right outside of downtown. And I was actually a vendor at the event. So all of this was kind of a work trip. And my parents came, Patrick was there helping me, and the pop-up fucking crushed. It was like 2 pop-ups rolled into one. I think we did like 4,000 in sales, which I've told you guys in the past. Whenever I do a pop-up, my goal is always $2,000. That just makes it feel worth it to me, either for my time or if I'm hiring someone else to be there, then I want to make sure that everything's worth my time. We're still experimenting with different pop-ups, different events. So doing $4,000 is like 2 pop-ups in one. That's an insane day. Not to mention it was like the most fun day ever. I did not feel like I was working at all. There were so many people there. Everyone was so incredibly kind and nice. Shout out Trevor, who put on the event, hosted the event, and got it together and allowed me to come. It was such a blast. I want to have him on the podcast. He's a really, really cool dude. And I'm just so thankful for the whole experience. So yeah, my parents came and vibed for a while, which was hilarious because it was just like the most chaotic ski bum, ski core, like local scene you've ever seen. And my parents were just like vibing while everyone else is like on acid and there's like fire throwers and like everyone's wasted and on mushrooms and just all the things, but they loved it and they were just so proud of me, which is so sweet. Like my mom was like off to the side taking photos of me the whole time, like selling stuff. But yeah, it went really, really well. So thankful. And then I got back on Monday. Today is Thursday. So I've taken the week to try to catch up again because now my best guy friends are coming in town tonight. I really want to record a podcast with them, but I feel like we're not going to have time, but I might try to force it anyway. So yeah, I've definitely felt a little overstimulated when I got home and very anxious. I caught up on work though. I'm feeling really good and have the rest of the day to catch up, which is really nice before everyone gets here. And then I'm hosting another uphill event tonight in Breck. If you're listening and you're local in Colorado, I want to do a ton more ski events and uphill touring events this season and seasons to come because hopefully I'm sticking around Colorado. Patrick and I are still long distance and we're still trying to figure out where we're going to live in between. It's pretty much down to Birmingham or Denver. Denver because it's a bigger city so he can find a new job. Birmingham would make more sense on paper because he has a job and owns a house and both of our families are in Alabama. I just don't know if I could live in Birmingham. And by I don't know if I can live in Birmingham, I pretty much know that I cannot for my sanity and mental health. And I don't think that's me being closed-minded, but we're still trying to figure that out together. So we'll see. I mean, it's a good problem to have to care about someone so much that you're willing to uproot your entire life for them. And I really don't want to leave the mountains. But unfortunately, I think after October, regardless of what happens, I'm not going to be living in the mountains anymore. But hopefully we'll stay in Denver and be close by. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. I also, in the midst of my anxiety, contemplated for the 1,000th time of quitting my podcast, but we made it. I'm still here, not quitting. So we're good on that. Marked safe. But yeah, once a quarter, I do contemplate quitting for sure. And then, yeah, as far as like what's coming up, we've got Beer Olympics this weekend that we are hosting with all of our friends in town. We've got lots more people. I was supposed to go to Jackson Hole next weekend, and I'm so thankful that's not happening anymore. Rendezvous Fest, which is a free concert in Jackson Hole. We did a pop-up last year with Midnight Lunch. And my friend Abby owns Midnight Lunch, and so we were going to do another pop-up this year. And I texted her and I was like, are we still doing this? And she was like, I don't think I can do it. And I was like, okay, thank God, I don't really want to do it either. So I'm going to get to stay here, which is really nice. We might go to Winter Park. We might just stay here. I'm right now feeling like I just want to stay in town because I just need to sleep, but who knows what we'll end up doing. Then the next weekend, I'm working Boot Tan Festival, which is an all-woman event. It's all women-owned businesses. They take over a ski resort in Glenwood Springs, which is outside of Aspen, and everyone does a naked ski lap, which is really cool. And I will absolutely be doing that. My mom's like, are you fucking kidding me? But I'm like, no, I'm absolutely skiing naked. Are you kidding? So I'm stoked for that. And then that's Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, I'm going on my first ever hut trip, which is where, so I talk a lot about touring and I do a ton of uphill skiing, and it's a different kind of skiing where you have a different kind of setup, boots, bindings, lighter weight skis, and you are essentially like hiking up the mountain on your skis, like sliding forward. And you have these sticky things called skins on the bottom of your skis to like make you not slide back. So I do a lot of that on resort and on Baldy, which is an off resort mountain locally here in Breck. And hut trips are where you hike to a hut, and then there's like different terrain you do, to my understanding. So you hike to different places and you ski, and then you put your skis back on, hike somewhere else, ski down. So it's like finding fresh powder, that kind of thing. And you're like backpacking basically. So you have your food and everything on your back that you're going to use on the hut trip, and then you leave it at the hut and you sleep at the hut. So it's kind of like camping, kind of like backpacking, but also with an element of skiing involved. Never been, and it's really hard. You have to like get permits and like win a lottery and all this. So obviously I'm never going to plan one of those because I'm horrible at planning ahead, but I got invited to go on one and I really just want to make it work because I've been dying to go on a hut trip, and that was one of my New Year's resolutions this year. So I'm excited to do it. Then the next weekend is Maddie and Kat's, both of their 30th birthday on 4/20. So we're doing a whole like party bus to Vail, wearing wigs, all the things. And then that Sunday is Vail closing. So then we're going to that. And then the week after that, I leave for the beach with Patrick, which is going to be our like kind of anniversary trip because that's where I actually started to like him in our whole scheme of us meeting in Vail on a random ski trip over a year ago, because I didn't like him at first, but he flew me out to the beach in an effort to like hang out again. And I was kind of just using him for a free beach trip. And then I was like, oh wait, I am obsessed with you. And then the rest is history. So we're going to the beach again, which I'm so stoked about, just to like be in the sun, be by the water for a little bit. We've got a wedding for one of his best friends. And then I leave for Bali in Southeast Asia for 2 months. I don't get back till June 30th. So this month I'm also going to try to record a ton of podcasts before I'm traveling a ton, but I'm also bringing a little mini mic that I just bought. It was so fucking expensive, but I wanted to have something with me so I could do like live podcasts while I'm traveling and like update you guys, as well as like, I don't know, I'm going to be traveling solo a lot. So maybe if I meet someone interesting and I want to have them on the podcast, or I can do little interviews, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'll be gone for 2 months. So that's going to be a trip and a half. And I've also, since like ski season started, really, I've been big on vlogging, and I've told you guys this, but we're on YouTube now. I'm doing weekly or every other week vlogs where I'm documenting everything, and it's been really fun. It's been a really cool new way of storytelling, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it in the last like 4 or 5 months. So with everything that I just talked about and with everything to come, I have vlogged everything and I am vlogging everything, and the vlogs turned out really, really good. So definitely check them out if you're interested in watching what I'm up to every day, every week, and you know, you want some visuals for all the stuff that I'm talking about and all the stuff that's coming. Speaking of work, which is basically YouTube, even though I make no money off of that or my podcast, but that's neither here nor there. Work has been a lot better. I remember it was like October through January, really. I was having a really, really hard time. I was depressed. I was like waking up crying, had a ton of anxiety, and it was mainly to do with work, but I feel like a lot of things in my life that always happens, you know, bad things happen in threes, as they say. And I feel like my bad things happen in like tens, like so many things were going wrong, especially in my business. And so many things were just so unknown at the time, and sales were bad and whatever. And so I was having a hard time just balancing it and like continuing to have hope and believe in myself and my company and what I was doing, and that I wasn't the biggest idiot on the planet. So now I feel like things are a lot better. Our sales are still really low, which is super weird and disappointing. I mean, I'm okay, and I'm not like gonna break down about it like I was prior. But just as an example, I was looking at the numbers a couple months ago in January last year, because for some companies, January is slow because it's right after Christmas. But with Rebellious Ski Club, for us, January is a pretty big month. And last January, we did like 40,000 in sales approximately, just from our website, just from online. This month, this January, we did 5,000 in sales. I don't even know what percentage that is, but it's so fucking bad. And luckily, we have custom orders now, which are a huge part of our business, wholesale, which is growing to be a bigger part of our business. And we're doing pop-ups now from December onward, which we used to not do until March last year was when we did our first one. So there are things going for us, but still our website is our tried and true. That's where we should be making our income, and it should be like a steady, almost passive stream of income. So that's really concerning. But I think a lot of things affected that. And I talked about this on a past episode. We switched manufacturers, and that was such a shit show. And a lot of my anxiety stemmed from that. It took way longer. A lot of things were wrong. So not only were we not able to launch everything that we wanted to launch with Rebellious Ski Club because it just wasn't right, it wasn't ready, but we also launched so late. We launched the week of Christmas, which in the retail world is the dumbest fucking bonehead move you can do, but we didn't have a choice. Like everything was so late and we had nothing to launch until then anyway. So the launch was a lot smaller. I ended up having to go emergently to Atlanta right after Thanksgiving during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because one of our employees unexpectedly left. So a lot was just going wrong at the time, and my resources were being used elsewhere. So it was just a shit show. So I think there are a lot of reasons for the lower sales, and I'm just trying to focus on what I can control, right? I mean, that's all I can do. So we've taken a break from doing meta ads because we got hacked on our Facebook and then our ads went to shit. So we're going to try to come back to that. And I think I'm going to try to teach myself how to do meta ads. I've worked with a lot of different agencies, and the last agency we worked with was an amazing experience. But I think at the end of the day, I know my company better than anyone. I know my audience better than anyone. I can literally picture you guys. And I was talking to Tina, my friend that owns or co-owns Scenic, which I've had her on the podcast. And she was saying that they run all their meta ads. And I know meta ads are really powerful and a great way to grow. So I'm trying to get back into that. So I think I'm going to try to train myself through YouTube and contracting out friends and just paying for their time to show me the ropes. So that's one thing that we're doing. Another thing that we're doing is redesigning our website. Our conversion rates on our website are so fucking low, and our website is such a mess right now. And it's kind of fallen on the back burner for a long time because we've had so much going on when really it should be kind of a main focus. So we're coming back to into it and we hired someone that specializes in all of this, because up until now I've kind of just had either I've designed our website or I've had friends do it that like aren't like, maybe they're graphic designers, they're not like specialized in website design and like getting higher conversion rates and people to shop and stay on the website. So working on that right now. That is a process, but it's been actually a really fun process and it is very expensive, but I'm really just trying to invest in my business, which is hard when you're not making money to invest more money into something, but that's just the nature of being an entrepreneur. So I'm just trying to keep my head down and not think about it. But I was working actually this morning on our website because we have to like make all new copy and there's a ton of like worksheets that I have to fill out as far as like what our brand is and what we stand for and what we're about, which I've really enjoyed. It's been a fun exercise and it's kind of like relit something in me, like having to describe what Ron Blaze is to someone that knows nothing. It makes me like refocus my pillars and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And a few things that I really like, and I wrote about that this morning, was, when describing our brand and our clothing, we talked about my competitors in this space. We talked about what makes Ron Blaze different, what we're offering, what problem we're trying to fix, what our business is about, what our company is, what our taglines are. And something that I just brain dumped was clothes that dare you to wear them. And I've never thought about it like that, but a lot of our clothing, I'm literally wearing a sweatshirt right now that says Dumb Bitch University, which I'll get into, kind of like challenges you to go against the norm. Like our hat that says I love when men shut the fuck up, or some of our ski apparel that's a little cheekier that has really funny phrases on them. It's kind of like challenging you to not care what people think. And I've talked about this on podcasts in the past multiple times, but people ask me all the time, how do you not care what people think? How do you be confident? And I think the best advice I can give is it's a practice. You have to choose not to think about other people's opinions or how people are perceiving you. It doesn't just happen. And I'm constantly having to weigh the importance of that in my head and like make decisions not to care. And I think I kind of do that through our clothing in a way. When we started with just jewelry, even like some of our photo shoots or some of our designs are very maximalist and like edgier. And now with our hats and our apparel, sometimes it's more like tongue-in-cheek, edgy kind of humor. And I've always said like edgy is one of the words that describes our style, even when we did jewelry. Unique is another word that we use. And I still think those are held true in everything that we do. And I got this at a pop-up this weekend, actually, and I get this comment all the time when someone sees a hat or they see a hoodie and they're like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with that, but I don't think I could pull it off. So I want to fight that with our clothing. And that's something that I want to like put back into our like branding, into our message of like, you can pull this off. It's you putting yourself in a box that like you don't have the personality or you're scared of what other people will say. And I'm like daring you to overcome that, to like become more self-assured, become more confident in yourself by wearing our stuff and like making people laugh and showing people that like you don't give a fuck. It's a magnet. Like people love that energy and people love to laugh and relate and all those things. And so it's been cool kind of like flipping the lens on my own brand and having to describe that, because it's something that I've always thought but never really put into words. And I really want that to be on the forefront of our messaging now moving forward. So I'm excited for our little website facelift. You guys will have to stay tuned and let me know what you think, because it is trash right now. And I think that's contributing to our lack of sales as well. I also feel like I'm spending a ton of money on labor right now. We have Casey, who is my virtual assistant. She is literally the reason why I am okay and the reason I am breathing. She does everything. Our brains work the same. And I'm so fucking thankful for her. I've also got a video editor, Cami, who's really incredible. She does some of our more technical videos as well as my YouTube. And we hired 2 new social media girls just to help us with like UGC stuff, because I don't want to always be the face of the brand. Like I'll always be here, but I also want to have other people represented. So it's been fun and taken the load off of me, and they've made some really incredible content, a few of which have gone viral, which is really cool, but it's all very, very expensive. And now I have a bunch of girls working pop-ups for us. I have a girl working a pop-up in Steamboat tomorrow, actually, and I'm not going to be there. I have Gloria, who does pop-ups for me in Denver. I have Jackie that does pop-ups for me in Boulder. And, next year I want to have representatives in every single ski town and in California and in Utah. So as we're trying to scale, it just costing me a lot of money when we're not making a ton of money. So yes, I am investing a lot in the company right now, but I'm hoping I'm doing it in the right ways and that the ROI is super high and we get that return on investment in the best way. Because, when things are bad, all you can do is try. All you can do is control the things that you can control to try to make it better. And that's what we're doing, putting affirmative action out there into the universe and hoping that it comes back tenfold. Speaking of pop-ups though, having all these pop-ups and having all these girls that are helping me with pop-ups has absolutely changed my life. We have been crushing pop-ups this year. We're finally getting our finances organized, both in my personal life and in the business, and just being more dialed with everything. So we've been like keeping track of where all the money's going, which like you're like, no fucking shit. But I really haven't been good about doing that in my business in the past. Just seeing where our money's going and where we're making the most money. In January, I'm looking at our spreadsheet right now. This is like with costs taken out of labor. We did 4,739 in pop-ups. February, we did 12,447 in pop-ups. And in March, and this is just in March thus far, although March is almost over, we've done $15,479. And that's with all the labor costs and everything taken out of our bottom line. So that's fucking sick. And yes, our website sucks right now, but at least money is coming in from somewhere. And also doing these pop-ups, like I am buzzing from pop-ups, meeting all of y'all and seeing people gravitating towards certain things and laughing and trying things on and complimenting the quality and the fit and the feel and showing their friends and saying, oh, can I take a picture of this and send this to my friend? Like, this is so her. Just reinvigorates me and makes me realize that yes, even though our sales are shit right now online, I'm not in the wrong field. I'm not in the wrong place. I'm still making products that people love. And there's just some missing link between the outreach and the sales because the pop-ups do so well and our wholesale has grown so much and has done so well. So it makes me realize that, okay, at least I'm not the dumbest bitch in the whole entire world and we're doing the right thing. Speaking of dumbest bitch in the whole entire world, I'm wearing one of our new crew necks that we haven't launched yet and a new hat, which the hat is actually incorrect, but I'm just wearing it anyway. And it says Dumb Bitch University on it. And this has been a launch that we've been working on for forever. And I'll talk more about it on Instagram. So definitely follow us at raw_rebellious. But this whole idea basically stemmed from this like ugly, stupid troll man that commented on one of my videos, like back in, I can't even remember what it was about at this point, and said something about me going to Dumb Bitch University, something like that. I can't even remember what it was. And that got the wheels turning and turned into this whole like concept merch line that we're doing called Dumb Bitch University. And I'm so excited for it. It's going to be so silly and fun. And, you know, the camaraderie, it kind of reminds me of Sunday Scaries and like all of us just, you know, coming together and like telling our dumbest stories and just commiserating in that. It's going to be such a blast. And the colors are so perfect. We're doing this pink that we've been working on for forever and we're doing camo hats. So it's a very small launch, but it's going to be really sick. And I'm really excited for all the creative that's going to go into it. So I'm wearing it right now, celebratory, and I'm wearing the hat because my hair is disgusting right now. And I didn't want to show it. Another thing we've been working on, just, you know, speaking of things we can control, are trial reels. And if you're a content creator, a business owner, or someone trying to grow on socials, or maybe you own a social media company, this message is for you. You have to start doing trial reels. I have grown my personal account like 1,000 followers in the last month, maybe 3 weeks, just from doing trial reels. And it's not like, you know, you have to actually do them and work for it and post a ton. And I'll give you some tips that I learned from my friend Alden, who owns a social media brand. She was actually on my podcast in the last, I don't know, month or two. She owns Jaw Media with her sister, and she's the one that told me all these tips. But trial reels is this new thing that Instagram came out with in the last few months. And anything new that Instagram comes out with, or any social media comes out with, always utilize, because they want you there. They want you using whatever the new tool is that they launch. So I think they reward that. And when something's new, not everyone hops on it at the same time. So if you can get on it first, it's the same thing if like you're the first person to like start doing reels or TikTok or whatever. Your stuff just catapults out there because they're trying to push that and trying to reward you for using whatever it is that they're trying to like get the masses to use. So trial reels is a setting when you're going to post a reel that essentially puts that content to non-followers. So the goal of it is for you to trial things, for you to try different captions, different titles, different audios, different content, and see what resonates with people. So you're kind of like testing content that you can then repurpose onto your page if you want to. How I view it is it's like free advertising, and free is in I'm not having to pay for something to get pushed out. Rather, Instagram just does that and is showing new people that don't follow me my content, how you do it and how you kind of make it work for you. Take one video. It could be a video of you cooking breakfast, and you could use that same video 20 times. You could set it to 10 different trending audios. You could use 10 different hooks. You could go with completely different concepts with the text of like, here are my top 10 ways to be productive in the morning. Here are the things that I wouldn't do to start my day. This is my breakfast. This is my morning skincare routine. Like, try out a bunch of different things. You can use ChatGPT to help you with that. And I would be posting like 10 or 20 trial reels a day if you're going to try this with your business or for yourself. And you just shell out content. You post it, keep it high quality, because at the end of the day, your name is still attached to it. So don't use it as like a Finsta where it's like shitty. But this is a way for you to really experiment without having the pressure of like your Instagram aesthetic and messing up your feed. Because I always think a lot about that stuff. And I've had a few videos go viral with like over 1 million views, and it's grown my following on my personal account over 1,000 people. Like, that's insane. These are real followers that I now have in my bank to like post content to and that follow me and that are going to stick with me. So it's been really cool. I've been experimenting with my business and with my personal page. Another thing that I'll say, and my friend Alden told me this too, is Instagram encourages you, if your trial reel is doing well, to then post it to your actual account. Like you can click on there and have it show up on your actual feed. Do not do this. This stops the algorithm from taking your post in. It stops it from going viral, and then it moves it. You can take that same video, export it, and then put it on your personal account as a separate video, but never take it from trial reels and move it. That was a huge piece of advice she gave me, but just try it. Like just take some of your videos that you already have, your B-roll, and commit to it. Say, I'm going to post 5 a day and just see what you can do. And the more that you do it, it sounds really daunting, but the more you kind of get into it and the more that you learn how to just repurpose content and repurpose. And I would too, when you're editing a video, if you chop up a video, say of you going on a hike, save that video with no text and no audio, because that way you can easily just keep posting it. And the algorithm doesn't care how many times you post. You could post 50 times in an hour, doesn't matter. Post that as many times as you can, make it as easy for yourself as you can, and just play around with it, because it's been really cool for my business. And I really want to keep using that for, all of my accounts to try to help them grow. It's also funny, I try not to post too much about my boyfriend on my personal account because I just don't want it to turn into like a Patrick account. But on my trial reels, I whore him out without telling him. And one of his coworkers came into work and was like, hey, is your girlfriend an influencer? And he was like, why? He was like, I don't know, a video of you popped up on my feed because it only shows to non-followers. And the videos with him are the ones that have gone viral. So I've just been using any video that I have of him and repurposing it so many times, either of the two of us or just him, and just whoring him out without his knowledge, which is pretty funny. So sorry, Patrick. Yeah, work has been super busy. We're also designing a ton of stuff already for next season. Really just trying to get ahead of Rebellious Ski Club 2026 so we can start launching that in August. We're working on pitching some collabs where I'm having my designers design things for big influencers that I admire, that I have connections with, to try to do more collaborations this year, because I feel like working with other people, not only is it so fun for me and it feels very aligned for me, but it also helps us grow, because then we get access to a new audience, and it's just a cool way for us to get creative and kind of do a service for someone that maybe they've thought about but haven't had the time to do themselves. So we're working on lots of those. We're doing tons of new products. Probably shouldn't be sharing all this, but I'm going to anyway. We're doing ashtrays, we're doing coasters, we're working on custom shoes for ski season next year, and they're going to be so fucking sick, but they're taking forever. We're working on journals, which I'm really excited about. And we're also working on bikinis, which I'm hoping by next ski season we'll have, so I can ski in a bikini that I've created, but that is also taking forever. All this shit takes forever. It's so frustrating, but it is what it is. Okay, so that's all the work updates that we have. So lots of fun things to come, and I have so much travel coming up. I mean, obviously I've been traveling so much like around Colorado and like skiing and stuff, but I'm going to Southeast Asia for 2 months. So I will be doing kind of what I did a few summers ago, where I was just like in Europe bopping around backpacking. So I'm hosting 2 trips in Bali back to back. One of the trips is closed. The next trip closes April 3rd. So I think by the time this podcast comes out, it might already be closed, but I'm so stoked. So it'll be 2 different groups doing 2 different trips within Bali. So I leave May 6th, I think May 5th or May 6th, and I'm going to travel to Singapore first. That's where I'm flying into. And then I'm going to go to Malaysia before I go to Bali for my trips, just to get acclimated, get used to the time change, because it's like a 12-hour time difference or something insane. And to just like get my feet on the ground, travel a little bit, and like get in my zone before I start hosting these trips. I don't want to just like show up fresh and jet lagged for these girls. I want to like be on and ready to go. So there's a lot to prep for. Before that, we're getting PR together. We're doing custom merch for them. And I just want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row for that. And then other than that, I haven't really planned any of my travel. Patrick is meeting me for like 10 days and we're doing Thailand together. So we're booking that because he's not like me. He likes to have a plan and not fly by the seat of his pants. So we're planning that. And then I'm thinking about going to, this will all be solo for the rest of the month, Cambodia, Laos, I think it's pronounced Laos, Vietnam, which is like what I'm most excited about. I've heard a lot of really good things about Vietnam. I want to try to squeeze in South Korea, but it also feels a little bit far. And then I also might try to squeeze in the Philippines. We'll see if I can make it to all these destinations. I wish I was staying for longer already. Anytime I travel, I always extend. But now that, I've got so much going on and I can't really take off work for longer than 2 months. I mean, I'll be working while I'm there, but like not near as much as I should be, like a fraction. I'll just be like kind of keeping things alive. So I'm just going to keep it to 2 months, but I'm really excited about that. And I'm hoping there's lots more travel and like hosted trips to come, because I really want that to be a part of my job in the future. I'm also going to Italy in September with Patrick's family for his mom's 60th birthday. So going to Europe. And then I'm hosting another trip in Greece in October. So going back to Europe the next month. And I'm probably going to try to visit my granny. She lives in Northern Ireland still, and see some family and do a little traveling around that. So we'll see, because our lease ends October 1st. So then I'm going to be homeless for like 3 months until Patrick and I decide where the fuck we're going to live. But what I'm excited for about this season of life is now that most of my friends are married. In the past, I've just been like a traveling bridesmaid, and I've spent so much goddamn money on weddings at this point and spent so much time, which drains me even more. Just spending like months away, going to bachelorette after wedding, after wedding, after bachelorette. And as fun as it is to celebrate everyone, I'm so happy to finally just be traveling for myself. Like, I have one wedding this year. It's one of Patrick's friends. I have a baby shower in Charlotte in July, and then we're all going to the beach for Courtney's 30th birthday in August. But like, all those things are so intermittent and going to be so fun. Like, I'm just so happy that I don't have like 8 events that I'm having to travel to and like try to make plans around and spend money on and use all my flight points for. Like, it's just such a relief, and it's so exciting to actually have space to travel for me. And that's what I'm really excited about, because I'm over traveling for everyone else, I'll be honest. So that's going to be really amazing. And I'm excited to take you guys along with me on my travels and give you the inside scoop. It's my first time going anywhere other than like Europe or Mexico or like the Bahamas or something. So I'm sure there's going to be some culture shock, and I'm going to learn a lot, because traveling in Europe is like not really that deep to me, just because culturally, I don't feel like, holy fuck, this is crazy. But in Asia, it's going to be a whole nother planet. So I'm really excited for that experience, and it's going to be cool. As far as in my personal life, I mean, I feel like my work and my personal life are so intertwined anyway. I've been so busy, but I said this earlier, my mental health is so much better, and I'm just so thankful for that. Looking back on that time period when I was just so down and it felt really dark to me, and I was just truly like trying to survive every single day, waking up every day, hoping that I would feel better and just back in my body, because when I get depressed, I float outside of my body and I'm just kind of like existing and like not really experiencing things like I normally do. But yeah, I'm not anxious all the time. Things are still going wrong in my life. It's life, but I can handle it now. I have hope again. I believe in myself again. And of course, that comes in waves, and owning your own business has its own struggles that anyone that is an entrepreneur as well can relate to, the roller coaster of it all. But I'm really thankful for the space that I'm in right now and how I'm feeling about everything. And I touched on it earlier. It's so funny. Like, I go through so many phases of wanting to quit this podcast, not wanting to quit, but feeling like I have to, because I don't make any money off of it. It takes a lot of time. I have an editor. I have a studio that now I get to trade in exchange for content, which is great. I have like subscriptions that I have to keep up in order to have a podcast. So it's just costing me money. I'm not making a dime off of it. But it's so funny, when I was in Denver in January and I was doing podcasts, I interviewed my friend Bree. And before we started the podcast, I was in one of those, I'm going to quit the podcast, like, what the fuck am I doing kind of thing. And she made a really good point. It's so funny, the things that you say to people that really stick with them. Like, I'm sure she didn't even think anything of telling me this, but Bree, if you're listening, this totally changed my perspective. She made a really good point of, you know, you having a podcast, yes, you may not see any like monetary value in it, like up front, but it just gives you so much notoriety. Like, me being able to say like, oh yeah, I have a business, I'm an influencer, I have a podcast and a YouTube channel. Like, it just broadens my scope, and it makes me appear to be more of a professional, and like I've got my shit together, maybe more so than I do. And she also made another good point that it really broadens my network. So many people that I've had on my podcast thus far, and I've told them this and I've talked about this, like, if there's someone that I admire over Instagram, I can't just DM them and say like, hey, I would really like to get to know you better. Can we talk on the phone for an hour? And I can just ask you questions because I'm curious. But if I have a podcast, that gives me a socially acceptable way to kind of cold call people and be like, hi, I would love to have you on my podcast. It's mutually beneficial. It's more professional. And so that way I'm getting to meet all these people in the local creative space, in Denver, in the small business community, in the outdoor space, and get to know people. And that is so valuable to me and to like my mental health and well-being, like getting to learn from so many people. Cause I've also learned so much and taken so much away from like all of these amazing individuals that I've gotten to meet. So then I'm like, okay, this is newfound purpose. I don't need to quit my podcast. I'm still going strong. I'm fighting the inner voice that's telling me that I shouldn't be doing it. So that's good. I've had some really good habits recently that I've been loving. I've started meditating every single morning. I use Insight Timer, just the free version. It keeps telling me to try to do the subscription, but I have way too many subscriptions. I can't. They've got so many amazing, great free meditations. So every morning when I wake up, I make my bed, which I've always done. And then I go upstairs, I make all my roommates coffee, and I empty the dishwasher. So this routine usually takes me, like 15, 20 minutes. While I'm making everyone coffee and emptying the dishwasher, I do a meditation. So I'm not sitting in my bed doing the hum and like having my hands in like prayer pose and like my legs crossed, but I'm meditating kind of in movement, which has always worked better for me anyway, because I'm so ADD. Kind of helps me to just be doing something monotonous that I don't have to think about, like making coffee like I do every day or emptying the dishwasher, doing something with my hands and then allowing my mind to really meditate. So I've loved that. I'm doing affirmations in the morning. I'm doing all of that. And that started my day really, really nice and less like in panic mode. And then another thing that I'm doing that I love is every morning after that, I come downstairs, and before I start working, before I check my text and my email and all the things, I write 5 things that I'm grateful for in a gratitude journal that is only for that. And I journal in my 1 line a day journal where I talk about the day before. So I'm getting to look back on the day before, remember everything that I did and how special it was, and like take a beat. And I'm getting to just start the day grateful for things where I'm forcing myself. I'm not writing every single day, I'm grateful for my coffee. That would be the easy way out. Instead, every day I'm trying to write something completely new that I'm grateful for. So then I get grateful for the really, really small things too, like for fresh laundry or for the new shampoo that I just tried that made my hair smell really good, or the heated blanket that's on me right now, whatever it is. And that's like totally changed my mental and totally changed the trajectory of my day. So I've really been enjoying that a lot. And then I've talked about this in the past. When I had my friend Nicole on the podcast, she talked about meditating in the shower. And my other friend, Anna Grace, actually sells a meditation that she recommends for cleansing your mind and your body in the shower. And it's very short, very sweet. But there's something about showering that's very spiritual. There's something scientific about it too, like mixing the ions of the metal with the water with salt. I got this like salt body scrub. It was like super cheap. You don't have to get anything fancy. And that's supposed to be really cleansing for your body and your mind as well. And then while I'm in the shower, it sounds silly, but I listen to frequencies in the morning and at night. And I like out loud do these little mantras. And sometimes it'll be as simple as like, I am washing away anxiety. I am washing away the stress of the day. I am washing away the judgment of my mom, whatever it is that's stressing me out at the time or making me feel anxious. If there's anything negative going on in my life, which 9 out of 10 times there is something stressing me out. But showering has always been very transitional to me because I always shower before dinner. And after dinner, I try not to work. I read and I really try to settle in for the night versus like keeping going, because as an owner of your own business, if you're listening, you get it. You can always be working. There's always stuff to do. And I'm really trying to have boundaries with that. So I try to do that. And like I said, Anna Grace actually has like a program and she sells a shower cleanse. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but that's another thing that I've been doing just to like clear your aura for the night or for the day, whatever time you're showering. So in her shower cleanse prayer, she talks about really imagining and visualizing your shower like as a portal. And when you're stepping out of it, you're becoming this like new person, or you're leaving behind the version of yourself that you don't want, or the judgment or the negative things or the limiting beliefs or the thoughts, whatever it is. And then she says, wash away all the energy of the day. I'm tuning into my auric field in the most loving way, sending any stale remnant energy down the drain, which I love. So I've been doing that one as well in the shower. And when I live by myself, I want to have like little sticky notes of mantras and stuff everywhere to remind myself of that. And you can say anything in the shower. It doesn't have to be poetic. It doesn't have to rhyme, but that's something that I've really enjoyed, that I've been practicing. I've been reading a fuck ton. I think I read 6 or 7 books in March, which is insane. I mean, I've just been like flying through them. And the time spent with my parents. I mean, my parents are big readers, so we would all at night just sit around and read, which is really nice. So I did a lot of that. Let's see. And then I've also, you guys see, I post about it on Instagram if you follow me. I love doing like mantras on my phone. So on my alarms, I'll set reoccurring alarms every single day to go off at like 1 o'clock or 11:11, and it'll have different mantras and I'll like switch them out intermittently. And I have a few favorite mantras right now. Oh, and also make sure if you do want to try this, put the alarm on silent. So it just fills up your screen on your phone. You can do as many as you want. And I find them just more potent than just reminders, because with a reminder, you can just like ignore it. Like I just stop even noticing those, but the alarm makes you pause. It fills up your whole screen, or like stops your music or whatever. And you have to like really take a second and like read the mantra and live it. So it's been really fun. My favorite mantras right now, I'll read them to you guys because I've been switching them out and trying to do new ones here and there. I'm living my life in full alignment. Today is a new, beautiful day. I've never experienced this day before. Money flows easily and effortlessly into my life. That's been one I've been saying a lot in the last few months. Everything will be okay. Everything is temporary. And the last one is, I will let go of the things that are not mine. So yeah, feel free to set these alarms, write them as post-it notes on your mirror, whatever. Mantras really help me a lot and just give me a little like the universe is patting me on the back and reminding me that everything's going to be okay. And kind of playing into this, there are 2 posts recently that I saw on Instagram that I bookmarked that I wanted to talk about on the podcast. One of them kind of plays into the mantra of today is a new, beautiful day. I've never experienced this day before. And it was a video of a girl talking about every day she wakes up and tells herself that she is going to have the best day ever. And by saying that to herself first thing in the morning and telling herself that, she's then looking around for ways for the universe and like for her surroundings to prove that to her. Like, okay, today's going to be the best day ever. Like, I wonder how it's going to be the best day ever. And maybe the clouds are in a really cool formation, or she notices how pretty a flower is on her way to work. I think she saw like a cool fish in the ocean or like a jellyfish or something when she was walking on the beach as she was recording it. But starting out your day like that, it's kind of like starting your day out with gratitude. And by writing things that you're grateful for, you are then going to notice more the things that are happening right versus getting hung up on the things that are wrong. Because if you go in with that mindset, the bad things that happen, and things inevitably will happen that are out of your control that you do not like, don't seem like these like day altering horrible things, because you're already so focused and locked into this train of thought of like, today's the best day. Today's a new day. I'm so excited for today. And then all the little annoyances just won't bother you as much, which I really like. Then another post I saw, and this kind of plays into the I will let go of things that are not mine, which is a mantra I really, really love, is it was this post about not answering your phone. And I meant to write this down and I didn't, so I don't have it right in front of me, but essentially just talking about like, it's okay that I am not always readily available for everyone. And it is okay that I am not always answering my phone anytime someone calls. And I really settled into this. I am not the friend that is always available. You have friends and you can think about them when you text them that they answer immediately, that you see those text bubbles right away. And there are other friends that you text and you know you're just kind of throwing it into a well and that you probably won't hear from. I'm one of those friends. I'm the latter. I don't think that makes you a bad friend, because just because we have phones, I don't think that is a contractual obligation to always be available for everyone. Now, for my loved ones, if it's an emergency, for my family, for my boyfriend, for my best friends, like if they need something, like I see the text coming in. If it's something monotonous that I can get to the next day or the day after, I'm not answering. If I'm in the middle of something and you call me and I'm busy, I'm not going to answer. Like I can't interrupt my day always, because my phone is also the gateway to my work. And so my phone is being blown up 24/7, 7 days a week. So I just choose at a certain point not to answer. In the morning, I answer texts every single day. Then I don't really answer for the rest of the day unless it's something important that I need to get back to for work or, emergency, or I feel like responding in that moment. I'm not going to get stuck in like a back-to-back conversation. We can chat on the phone and we can catch up that way, but I'm just not really a texter. And so I think it's a good reminder. And it comes back to that mantra, I will let go of things that are not mine. I think sometimes, and I get in my head about this too, if I see someone calling me and I'm choosing not to answer, I'm like, fuck, like, what if they think I'm a bad friend? What if they think that I'm mad at them? Or what if they get mad at me for not answering? Whatever that train of thought is, it's like a fear of someone else's perceptions of me, and me deciding not to answer and letting go of that is me letting go of things that are not mine. Because at the end of the day, their opinion of me is not mine. It is theirs, and it is none of my business, number one. Number two, if they're my actual friend, they're not measuring our friendship off of me answering a text or a call or not. They know what to expect from me, and they respect my time and my peace. And those are the kind of friendships that I want to have. So just letting go of that responsibility and that anxiety that we attach to our phones of like, we must respond all the time. And maybe I'm alone in feeling that. And maybe I'm the only one that gets very overstimulated. But to me, your phone is like a portal to way too much. And I get sucked into it way too much. And I'm on it all day for work every single day. So when I can set boundaries around that, I can and I will. And I do not apologize and will not apologize for not answering the phone. That is just me. That's what you can expect. And those should be your expectations on our friendship. I will always be there for you. And I'm always, rooting for you and thinking about you. But like, that doesn't mean that I can just like pause everything in my life all the time, because then I would never get anything done. I would never have any peace or any time to read or ski or get present with myself and get grounded. So I really like that reminder a lot. And per usual, I'm very goal oriented. So I've already made all my goals for April. I've been doing archetypes each month, which I talked about on the last solo episode I did, just like the importance of trying to decide who you want to embody versus just listing out like a random list of to-dos, like deciding who you want to be and then decide how that person would live their life and kind of working backwards, like from bigger to smaller. And this month I was sitting here a few days ago, my window was open because it was really warm out. And I was just like at it such a like blank. I was like, I don't know what I want my archetype to be. I wasn't feeling very creative. And as I like couldn't figure it out, I heard these birds chirping outside my window. And to me, birds are such a significant like sound of seasons changing, of spring, of summer, of warmth. It's very nostalgic because where I'm from in Alabama, there's tons of trees and birds. And I remember waiting outside at my bus stop listening to birds. And my boyfriend and I were on the phone. Since he's in Alabama, I can hear the birds in the background. I always comment on it. I'm like, oh my God, the birds, they sound so nice. And I heard birds recently in Breck for the first time because spring is slowly but surely coming and the weather has been warmer. And then it just came to me as I heard the birds. My archetype is she listens to the birds, which sounds kind of silly and non-specific. And I didn't even know what it meant. I just wrote it down and then I just explored it as I wrote and kind of just brain dumped. But I think what that means to me is my archetype and who I want to be in the next month and who I'm stepping into. She listens to the birds. She loves nature. She notices things around her. She taps into things that make her really happy. She finds moments of stillness within the chaos because as I described, as of late and in the future, my life is going to be very rushed, very chaotic and like have little to no routine. So I think just finding those small moments and allowing myself to be grounded in those things and notice those things and allowing those things to bring me happiness and showing gratitude more is who I'm trying to step into and who I want to be. So that's how I figured out my archetype of the month. So that's who I'm stepping into. There's a lot of content I want to take this month. I'm just looking at my April goals, what else I want to do. Lots of vlog things I want to do. Really need to record a house tour while it's still snowing so I can showcase the whole ski in, ski out of it all. Yeah, there's lots of content I'm taking with different brands that I'm working with this month. And then the series that I've been working on with like, hi, I'm Sarah and this is my business, and like different outfits for skiing that I've been doing on personal and Raw and Rebellious. I'm doing a ton of podcasts this month because I'm trying to record as many as I can before I leave for Bali. So I'm not like stressed about it while I'm traveling. Definitely going to podcast while I'm gone, but I've never taken a break from podcasting and I always do once a week. And so I really want to stick with that. So I think I'm going to record like 12 or 13 this month in April. So we'll see. So it'll be a big month for that. But training some new employees, working on trial reels, on our meta ads. I really want to finalize our website. We're pitching a ton of collabs with influencers this season, sending out wholesale stuff and designing some like wholesale exclusive things for the summer and the fall, and just trying to get ahead of that. We've got lots of launches going on, like the Dunwich University stuff that I talked about. I'm also thinking about doing like a Italy, like Euro summer film collection, like a very small batch collection. We still have a lot of frames left over, those gold ornate ones from our collection last summer, the road trip one. And I took a lot of film when I was in Europe 2 summers ago and got so many DMs asking if I was going to sell them. And I love how they turned out. So I think I want to do like a little capsule collection of that maybe this summer, but I'm still trying to figure that one out. And we've got some fun hats coming up in the spring. We're working on some clothing for the summer and the fall. And then, yeah, we're already working on Rebellious Ski Club 2026, which will literally blow your socks off. Y'all are going to be obsessed. And other than that, I'm just working on like getting everything kind of in place so that I can work from Asia while I'm traveling and be on the go and get as much squared away as I can, so that, because I'm hoping May and June are going to be more of building months. So we finalize everything, we send the samples out, and we place orders for all the things that are coming in. We plan the photo shoots that we need to do for May and June so that while I'm gone, I want things to just be happening while I'm gone. That is the goal. I don't know if it's actually going to be that way, but we're going to try and just see. So yeah, just trying to figure everything out. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got going. I say that's all I got, but that's a fucking lot of things. But that's all I have for the solo episode today. I won't keep droning on, and I have lots to do today and prep before my friends get in town. So I'm going to go, but thank you guys so much for listening. This was so much fun catching up with y'all. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I love yapping on this mic to me, myself, and I, and hopefully a few of you guys out there. But I love y'all so much. Thank you for listening. If this is your first time, I hope you stick around. Like I said, you can follow us at Raw Intentions Podcast on Instagram. We drop new episodes every single Thursday without fail, so you can come to expect it on any platform that you get your podcast. We're also on YouTube if you're more visual and like to watch. That sounded kind of kinky, but I didn't mean it like that. If you love us as much as we love you, I would love if you could leave us a little like rating or review anywhere you listen, just as we continue to try to grow and, you know, get a new audience. Send it to your friends, tell everyone you know. And if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to chat about in this episode, things you want me to talk about in new episodes, or someone you want me to have on as a guest, I'm always all ears and love hearing from you guys via DMs. And that's all I got. So thank you guys so much. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will chat with you all next week. Bye.